A damaging video was leaked, one that displayed Lord Peter Mandelson clad in his underwear with a young lady in a property that belonged to Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile. At the same time, another scandal was leaked. A disturbing picture of a former prince stooped over a young lady suggestively. These images were made public by the U.S. Department of Justice and were only 2 out of 3.5 million documents famously known as the Epstein files. As more pictures and footage leaked, more powerful men were exposed to have had a close relationship with Epstein or aligned with him at some point. There were pictures of ex-President Bill Clinton with Epstein, as well as a deeply concerning email from Elon Musk confirming the date of one of Epstein's wild parties. The question is, who else was exposed, what did they benefit from the relationship with Epstein, and how did a man with no known background find his way into the gated community of the most powerful men in the world? Welcome to Creepy True Cases. Take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a beat. Before we disclose some of the powerful people who were found to have ties to Epstein, it is necessary to know who exactly this man was and what led to the biggest crime discovery that the U.S. had ever seen. Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on the 20th of January 1953. He started his career as a school teacher without a degree at one of the most prestigious private schools in New York. After he was dismissed from the school, he pivoted into the banking sector. He started as an options trader and financial strategist for an investment company called Bear Stearns. Later, he began providing tax and real estate services to billionaires. He started his own company and slowly penetrated rich and influential circles. He soon became rich and famous. One of his notable appearances was the July 1980 issue of Cosmopolitan magazine, where he adorned the cover pages as the Bachelor of the Month. He built a staggering wealth for himself, but there was no credible record of how he made his money. His company, J. Epstein & Company, allegedly handled assets for billionaires. However, some of his clients were questionable. One of them was the Saudi business tycoon Adnan Khashoggi, a wealthy arms dealer who had a wide intelligence network and was popular for hosting the most extravagant parties for the rich and powerful. At that time, Jeffrey was dating Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of a shady media tycoon. After her father died in 1991, Ghislaine began to rebuild with Jeffrey. Her father's influence opened doors for the couple. Over time, his services became darker, more sinister, and depraved. He began arranging exclusive meetings at his private island, where he procured underage teen girls and women for older men in the guise of showing them a good time. What followed was repeated essay by himself and his wealthy associates. Epstein had a pool of powerful friends, but the question on everyone's mind was, did they know about his criminal activities and most importantly, did they partake in it? Epstein met Donald Trump in the 80s and formed a friendship with him. Records showed that they flew together on a private jet several times, once to a Mar-a-Lago party in 1992. Epstein also became close to Bill Clinton and even donated generously to White House projects. Epstein's friends cut across businessmen, politicians, presidents, billionaires, scientists, and royal families. Epstein received high-profile visitors like Bill Gates and Ehud Barak, who later became Israel's prime minister. He met with Pope John Paul II, Richard Branson, and Larry Summers, U.S. Treasury Secretary, at his mansion in New York. But the list doesn't end there. He briefly met Elon Musk, a public intellectual, and Noam Chomsky. Epstein had met with Elon and his ex-wife at his Manhattan mansion. Elon defended this claim, saying that Epstein had tried to invite him to visit his island for one of his parties, but he declined. Epstein used philanthropy, proximity to powerful men, and extravagant parties to build a huge reputation for himself. He lived an almost perfect life, but soon enough things began to fall apart. It all began in 1997 when a 27-year-old supermodel, by the name of Alicia Arden, reported a SA case to the police. She said that Epstein posed as a Victoria's Secret talent scout and manhandled her. The case never saw the light of day. Epstein continued to rise in status. He was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, a Harvard donor, and a former trustee at the Rockefeller University. He appeared on Vanity Fair magazine in 2003 with a caption that said, "The talented Mr. Epstein." A writer, Vicky Ward, once described Jeffrey Epstein as a man who loved women, especially the younger ones. She later told the media that she knew far more than she had written about in her column. Epstein, with the help of his girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell, sought out young ladies who had aspirations and turned them into tools for his satisfaction, also grooming them for other high-profile figures. Some of them reported to the police, but the case was mysteriously suspended or completely ignored. Epstein soon began to operate outside of the U.S., in places like the Caribbean and other parts. His Palm Beach mansion in Florida soon became a crime scene. He had been on the police radar for a while, but because of his donation to the city and how influential he was, law enforcers turned a blind eye. That was until 2003. The Palm Beach chief of police had been receiving reports from random neighbors that many young women were often seen going in and out of Epstein's mansion, which seemed oddly suspicious. Investigations were slow and strategic. Then in 2005, the Palm Beach police intensified investigations after a parent reported the essay of their 14-year-old daughter. The police were able to identify 36 victims who were essayed. Some were as young as 14. These girls were recruited with the hopes of earning some money and were often commissioned to recruit other girls. Epstein, with strong connections, pleaded guilty and was convicted in 2008 for procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. He entered a plea deal that gave him a minor 13-month sentence, out of which he got 12 hours work release per day for 6 days. Somehow he was able to get out unscathed, and his victims were painted as commercial sex workers from broken homes, while the law enforcement officers such as Michael Ryder, who had handled the case, were put under heavy surveillance and persecution. As investigations continued, reporters argued that Epstein's mansion had a lot of CCTV surveillance tapes that had gone missing without any explanation. Where did they all go? There were rumors that he had collected a lot of unsavory footage and dirt on influential people, which granted him some form of immunity. After his 13 months of incarceration, he continued with his luxurious lifestyle, meeting some of the most influential people in the world, such as Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and Prince Andrew, who was photographed with him. Although Prince Andrew would later tell the BBC that the meeting was to sever himself from Epstein, an act which he wanted to do in person. Epstein began to lose a few of his friends as the civil lawsuit continued. Some were settled out of court, like in the case of Virginia Giuffre, which was settled for $500,000 in 2009. In 2011, Epstein was required by law to register in New York as a sex offender. This designation placed a major dent in his reputation, which he tried to salvage by funding various initiatives and accelerating his PR campaign. He used philanthropy as a shield. On the 6th of July 2019, Epstein was again arrested for sex trafficking dozens of minors at his Florida and New York home between the year 2002 and 2005. This time his plea deal did not hold. FBI raided his Manhattan mansion with a search warrant and discovered thousands of videos, images, tapes, and hard drives that collectively became known as the Epstein files. What these tapes held was not only shocking, but it would destroy reputations. Epstein was confident that he would be out of jail soon enough. He never left that cell. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found lifeless in his jail cell. For some reason, the 2 cameras outside his cell did not work that night, and the guards who were charged with watching over him had been asleep. Autopsies showed multiple neck fractures that were consistent with homicide by means of strangulation. The CCTV footage of the cell was criticized by many as being doctored, as approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds of time were missing from the footage. Nonetheless, the cause of death was labeled suicide by hanging. With Epstein out of the picture, a judge dismissed all criminal charges against him. However, an ACT was also put in place, known as the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The ACT was passed by the 119th United States Congress and was signed by President Donald Trump. The ACT required the U.S. Attorney General to make the Epstein files publicly available and accessible for download. As the contents of the files were continuously made public, many notable figures were seen to have maintained connections with Epstein even after his infamy. Most recently, email drafts were released to the general public, and in one of the email drafts, Epstein claimed that Bill Gates was in search of medication for an STD. However, Gates firmly denies this. He told the media that he never visited the island nor met with any of the women. Just a day after the images of the former Prince Andrew were released, a woman came forward with an accusation, saying that in 2010 she was sent by Jeffrey Epstein to the prince in the UK to perform sexual acts. The woman also hired U.S. Attorney Brad Edwards to represent her. The former Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor had no response to the accusation and appeared to be unbothered. Britain's former ambassador to the U.S., Lord Peter Mandelson, was shown repeatedly in images and tapes. But it gets worse. Records also show that from 2003 to 2004, Epstein had sent up to 3 consistent payments of $25,000 to Lord Mandelson. Another document that was dated December 2009 and beyond showed emails from Epstein, asking Lord Mandelson to intervene on Britain's bankers' bonus policy. To this, Mandelson replied, "I am on case." This raised concerns of misconduct in public offices. Lord Peter Mandelson, who came under strict investigation, also resigned from the House of Lords. In 2011, a report showed that Epstein emailed Andrew Forrest, CEO of Australian Iron Ore. However, a representative for Andrew Forrest denied ever meeting with Epstein. There were no ties or suggestions that Andrew Forrest had any connections to Jeffrey. There were hundreds of names of female survivors, whose partially undressed images were released. The victims are said to be as many as 1,200, which may have been a lot less if Maria Farmer, an Epstein victim, had been taken seriously in 1996. What are your thoughts on this case? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.